Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise around building wealth. You see the lottery winners, maybe the viral crypto successes, but what about the real story? How do most people actually build lasting financial security? Without relying on a one in a million shot.
Exactly. That dream of instant riches. It's tempting, isn't it? But our source today, Building Wealth Without Luck, it argues pretty convincingly, I think, that true financial success, it's usually the result of deliberate actions,
Right.
consistent effort, not just, random chance.
And that's exactly what we're going to explore here. We've really dug into this material to pull out the core principles and, crucially, the concrete steps you can take. Think of this as your direct route to understanding how to build wealth. Doesn't matter where you're starting from. And we'll try to avoid getting bogged down in super complicated financial jargon.
It's us.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the source starts by laying out some foundational principles. And the first one that really jumps out is the importance of having a long-term vision and, patience. A good dose of patience.
Oh, absolutely critical. Building wealth without luck really emphasizes that wealth creation isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. It means you got to be able to think years ahead, maybe even decades, and choose that future financial security over, what feels good right now, delayed gratification.
Yeah.
There really aren't any shortcuts to building wealth that lasts.
Right. No quick fixes. It's about consistently playing the long game, isn't it? Not chasing after every shiny new trend. And tied very closely to that long-term view is the principle of discipline and consistency. Sounds simple, maybe, but the source really highlights its surprising power.
Yeah, what's fascinating there is the cumulative effect, how it all adds up. Think about it like this. Saving a small amount regularly or consistently avoiding unnecessary debt.
It might not seem like a huge deal day to day.
Right, in the short term. Exactly. But over years, these small positive actions, they compound, they build on each other, and suddenly you've got significant results. It's like that steady drip filling the bucket.
Precisely. It's not about making these huge dramatic changes you can't stick with. It's those small everyday choices just adding up over time, and a key ingredient for making those good choices. Well, it's financial literacy. It's kind of like trying to navigate a new city without a map, isn't it? You might get somewhere eventually, but it'll be a lot harder.
And probably take longer.
That's a great analogy. This source really emphasizes that understanding basic financial concepts like how interest works, the potential of investing, the real impact of debt, it's foundational. You don't need a PhD in finance or anything.
Right.
But just a solid grasp of the fundamentals, that empowers you to make informed decisions, real decisions about your money.
Okay, now this next principle really resonated with me. Value creation. It's not just about, hoarding money for its own sake. It's about actually putting something valuable out into the world. Yeah, this is a powerful insight, I think. Building wealth without luck suggests that often significant wealth comes from providing value to others. So this could be through maybe starting a business that solves a real problem people have, or developing skills that are in demand, skills others will pay for, or even through strategic investments in companies that are themselves creating value.
That makes perfect sense. If you're providing something people actually want or need, you're naturally going to attract income opportunities. And this ties directly into something else. The source highlights a quote from Naval Ravikant.
Oh yeah, the equity quote.
Exactly. You are not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own equity, a piece of the business, to gain your financial freedom. Let's dig into that a bit.
Yeah, that's a really important point about the mechanics of wealth building. Renting
Yeah.
out your time, a traditional job, it provides income, sure, but it often has a limited upside, right? It's based on the hours you work. Owning equity, though, whether that's in a company you start yourself, or maybe a successful business you invest in, or even just stock in public companies, it gives you a share in the growth, the potential profits.
So as the value goes up.
Right. As the value of that thing you own a piece of increases, your wealth can grow, potentially much more significantly than just through an hourly wage or salary. Think of it as like aligning your financial success with the success of something you own a part of.
Okay, got it. So we've established those core principles: long-term vision, discipline, literacy, value creation, ownership. Now let's move on to the practical steps, the how-to. And the source logically starts with increasing your active income. It's kind of tough to save and invest effectively if you don't have enough coming in the first place, right?
That's the crucial first step for most people, yeah. And the source really underscores skill development as a primary driver of boosting that earning potential.
And it's not just about formal degrees, is it? I mean, the source points out that things like certifications, online courses, even just dedicated self-study, they can be incredibly valuable
Oh, absolutely.
for getting skills that are actually in demand. It's about becoming more valuable to the market.
Totally. In today's job market, things change so fast. Continuous learning is, well, it's essential. The more relevant, the more valuable your skills are, the greater your earning power becomes. Simple as that. And this naturally leads into things like career advancement,
Mm-hmm.
actively seeking promotions, maybe targeting higher paying jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and importantly, effectively negotiating your salary.
Ooh, salary negotiation. That can feel uncomfortable for a lot of people.
They can.
But the source really emphasizes it as a vital skill.
Mhm.
You need to be willing to sort of advocate for the value you bring to the table.
You do. And beyond your main job, the source also discusses side hustles, another powerful way to boost income.
Right?
Side hustles can be incredibly beneficial, not just for the extra cash, though that's great, but they also offer chances to explore new skills, maybe test out some entrepreneurial ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially develop whole new income streams down the line.
Good point. And networking shouldn't forget that.
Definitely not.
It's often said, it's not just what you know.
It's who you know.
Yeah.
Building genuine connections in your field and even outside it can open doors, opportunities you might just not otherwise find.
Okay, so we've talked about increasing the money coming in. What's the next critical piece of this puzzle?
Living below your means,
Mm-hmm.
saving.
The source really hammers this point home, doesn't it?
It does, and rightly so.
Mm.
This is where I think a lot of well-intentioned efforts can kind of fall short. Building wealth without luck points out very clearly that how much you keep is often more significant than how much you earn.
That's a big one.
Yeah. You could have really high income, but if your expenses consistently eat it all up or even exceed it, well, you're not actually building any wealth. You're just treading water, or worse.
And the foundation, the absolute bedrock of living below your means is having a budget. It might sound incredibly basic, maybe even boring to some,
Yeah.
but actually tracking where your money goes,
Sure.
that can be incredibly eye-opening.
Oh, definitely. What's fascinating here is just the awareness that budgeting brings. Once you have that clear picture of your spending habits, then you can start making conscious choices, decisions about what truly matters to you, and identifying areas where maybe you can cut back without really sacrificing what's important.
And the source also makes a key distinction between needs and wants.
Yeah, fundamental.
That's a really basic exercise, isn't it? But so important. Clearly separating essential expenses, roof over your head, food, etc., from those discretionary purchases. The things that are enjoyable, sure, but they add up a lot over time.
They really do. And that leads right into the concept of frugality.
Which doesn't mean being cheap or depriving yourself.
Right at all. That's a common misconception. Frugality, as the source describes it, it's more about conscious consumption, intentional spending, seeking value for your money, avoiding those impulse buys, finding cost-effective alternatives, like, cooking more meals at home instead of eating out all the time. Simple stuff, often.
And to really make those savings stick, the source strongly recommends automating them.
Yes. Pay yourself first.
Set up those automatic transfers right. Checking accounts straight into savings, into investment accounts.
Exactly. It takes the decision-making, the willpower out of it each month.
Removes the temptation to spend that money because it's already gone, allocated to your future. Makes saving a consistent habit.
Mm-hmm. And then, as your income potentially increases over time, maybe you get a raise or that side hustle takes off, the source offers a really crucial piece of advice. Be wary of lifestyle creep.
Ah, yes, the silent wealth killer.
It really can be
Yeah.
a significant obstacle. As your income rises, there's this natural tendency, isn't there? You want to upgrade your lifestyle.
Sure. Bigger house, nicer car.
More expensive vacations, fancier clothes, whatever it is for you. The source wisely advises resisting that urge, or at least tempering it significantly, and instead allocating a good chunk of that increased income towards, you guessed it, saving and investing.
Okay, so earn more, keep more. Makes sense. Now, let's tackle debt. It's a big topic. The source makes a pretty clear distinction between what it considers good debt and bad debt.
Understanding this distinction is absolutely vital. Can't stress that enough. Bad debt, Generally speaking, that's your high-interest consumer debt. Credit cards are the classic example.
Yeah.
It just acts as a major financial drain, constantly costing you money through those interest payments working against you. The source rightly emphasizes paying this stuff off aggressively, like make it a priority.
Using strategies like the debt snowball or avalanche method.
Exactly. Whichever one motivates you more, just get that bad debt gone.
Okay, so what about good debt then? That sounds almost counterintuitive.
Well, good debt, as the source outlines it, can be seen as a strategic tool.
Right.
Sometimes. It's typically debt taken on for investments that have the potential to generate future income or appreciate in value.
Mm.
Things like perhaps student loans for education that significantly boosts your earning potential,
Mm.
or a mortgage on a well-considered rental property, or maybe investing in a promising business.
So the key difference is the potential return on that borrowed money.
Precisely. It's about using debt as leverage for, hopefully, wealth creation,
Yeah.
not just using it to fund unsustainable consumption.
Got it. Okay, so once you've got your income up, your spending down, your bad debt under control, the next critical step is investing wisely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where that magic word comes in again, compounding.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Often called the eighth wonder of the world, right?
that's the one. And the source really highlights the importance of starting to invest early, like as early as possible,
Yeah, time is your biggest ally here.
to allow that snowball effect to really gain momentum over time.
Exactly. So powerful about compounding is that your investment earnings, they start generating their own earnings.
Making money.
It's a snowball effect, yeah. Your money works for you, and the longer you let it run, the more significant the results can become. It's exponential, not linear.
And the source also underscores the importance of diversification in your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely fundamental.
Mm.
Spreading your investments across different types of assets, stocks, bonds, maybe real estate, different sectors, different geographies, it helps manage risk. If one area takes a hit, hopefully others will hold up or even do well.
Makes intuitive sense. And for most people, especially those starting out or who prefer a hands-off approach, the source advocates for a long-term investing strategy, often recommending things like low-cost index funds or ETFs.
Yeah, these are generally seen as highly effective strategies for the average investor. They give you broad market exposure automatically, built-in diversification,
Right.
and typically they have very low fees, low expense ratios, which is huge over the long term because fees eat into your returns.
Good point. So keeping costs low maximizes your actual gains.
Definitely. The source also advises reinvesting any earnings you get, like dividends from stocks or interest from bonds.
Don't just take them as cash.
Well, you could, but reinvesting them automatically buys more shares, which then generate more earnings. It just accelerates that compounding effect even more.
Makes sense. And, of course, continuous financial education. Keep learning.
Always. The financial world changes, new products emerge, your own circumstances change. Staying informed is crucial for making good decisions over the long haul.
And for people who feel, really overwhelmed by all this, or maybe their situation is more complex,
Yeah.
the source does suggest considering advice from a qualified, maybe fee-only financial advisor, someone who puts your interests first.
Good point. Getting professional guidance can be really valuable in certain situations.
Okay, so we've covered active income, saving, debt, investing. Now, the source also explores building multiple income streams.
Mm-hmm. Diversifying your income itself.
Right, through things like passive income and maybe even entrepreneurship.
Yeah, this is about creating greater financial security, not being solely reliant on that one paycheck from your main job.
Which can feel vulnerable, can it?
It can.
Yeah.
So passive income. The source explains this as income streams that, once they're set up, require minimal ongoing effort to maintain, or at least less effort than your main job.
What are some examples?
Well, classic examples include income from rental properties, dividends from stocks you own, interest from savings or bonds, maybe royalties from creative work, or even certain types of online businesses that can run somewhat autonomously.
Okay. And then there's entrepreneurship, starting your own business.
Right, which often carries a higher degree of risk, let's be clear.
Sure.
But it also offers potentially significant rewards for wealth creation. Why? Because you have ownership.
Back to that equity point.
Exactly. And the ability to scale your efforts in ways that are typically just not possible with traditional employment. The source emphasizes, the importance of identifying real problems to solve for customers and then developing those essential business skills.
Like what kind of skills?
Oh, things like sales, marketing, managing operations, understanding finance from a business perspective. It's a different skill set.
So entrepreneurship allows you to directly capture the value you create, but it comes with risks and needs specific skills.
That's a good summary. Now, as your wealth actually starts to grow, the source highlights something else, protecting your assets and planning for the future.
Right, because it's not just about building it, it's about keeping it safe, too.
Precisely. And this is where having a well-funded emergency fund becomes absolutely critical.
That cash reserve you can get to easily for unexpected stuff.
Mm-hmm. The source likely emphasizes having enough to cover, say, 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Maybe more, depending on your situation.
And that acts as a safety net, right?
A crucial financial safety net, yeah. It
Yeah.
stops you from having to go into debt or
Yeah.
maybe sell investments at a really bad time just because the car broke down or you had a medical bill.
Okay, what else for protection?
Insurance. Having adequate insurance coverage.
Like,
Health insurance, obviously. Life insurance, especially if others depend on your income. Disability insurance to protect your income if you can't work. Homeowners or renters insurance, auto insurance. Basically, protecting yourself against those potentially catastrophic financial losses that could wipe out years of hard work.
makes sense. And as things get more complex financially,
Yeah, the source touches on tax optimization.
Yeah.
Understanding things like tax-advantaged accounts, 401ks, IRAs, that sort of thing. And maybe strategies to minimize your tax burden legally.
and estate planning.
Briefly, yeah. As wealth grows,
Hmm.
thinking about wills, maybe trusts,
Yeah.
having a plan for how your assets will be managed and distributed according to your wishes, it becomes increasingly important.
Okay, so that covers a lot of the practical what to do. But finally, the source delves into something maybe less tangible, but just as crucial: mindset. And the need for continuous improvement. This really feels like the foundation holding everything else up.
I agree completely. Without the right mindset, even the best financial strategies can just falter. The source really emphasizes the importance of delayed gratification. We mentioned it earlier.
Sure.
That ability to prioritize long-term financial security over those immediate spending urges, it's tough, but vital.
And resilience too, right? Things don't always go smoothly.
Definitely not. You need resilience to navigate the inevitable ups and downs.
Mm.
Markets fluctuate. You might have personal financial setbacks. You need to be prepared for that. Avoid panicking and stick to your long-term plan.
And patience, again, worth repeating.
Absolutely. Building substantial wealth, it's a long-term game. It takes consistent effort over time. Years, decades, often.
The source also highlights the value of humility.
Yeah.
And staying committed to continuous learning.
Yeah. Staying curious, being open to new information, recognizing you don't know everything, and being willing to adapt your strategies as you learn more or as circumstances change.
And one last mindset point: the people you surround yourself with.
Oh, that's a big one. The source suggests that surrounding yourself with people who are financially responsible, who have a similar growth mindset, it can provide really valuable support, encouragement, and just positively influence your own habits. You tend to become like the people you spend time with.
Okay, so to kind of wrap this all up, building wealth without luck, it really isn't about some secret formula, is it? Or waiting for a lucky break.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding these fundamental principles we talked about: the long game, discipline, value, ownership, and then consistently implementing these actionable steps: earning more, spending less, managing debt, investing wisely, protecting assets. Ultimately, it feels like it's about consciously designing your path to financial success, taking control.
Exactly. And it's a journey that's accessible, really, to anyone willing to commit to the process. Doesn't matter where you're starting from today. The key is just, well, getting started.
Yeah.
Maintaining that consistency and never stopping learning along the way.
That's a truly empowering message, I think. Now, for you, the listener, maybe something to think about. What is one concrete step, just one thing from our discussion today, that you feel you can implement in your financial life, starting, like, right now? And maybe also consider this: how could actively focusing on creating genuine value for others through your work, your skills, maybe a side project, how could that unlock unexpected avenues for building your own wealth in the long run? Lots to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.